Hello everyone, Carlos here from the Trusted Sec Research Team. So today I want to talk to you about NetworkConnect event. I really like using this event for tracking all different types of actions that are related to lateral movement. Attackers, when they land in a system, one of the first things they're going to do once they have an established foothold is that they want to expand the level of access that they have inside of that environment. And one of the ways that they do this is that they connect to other Windows or Linux or infrastructure equipment systems that are in that environment, and they'll try to gain a foothold in those and just keep expanding from that based on the type of data credentials that they can keep gaining from each of those individual systems. In addition to that, they're going to perform several reconnaissance activities from their current foothold, which may be a Cobalt Strike beacon, may be an Empire session, may be a Meterpreter session on the system. So that's why I like using this event to track that. So the way I typically recommend this is that you focus on those specific ports that are used by attackers to perform those actions. Given that port 22 in the case of SSH, we're looking at the RPC ports, which is 135, 139. We're looking at SMB, used quite a bit with pipeline events, which is 445. When they're doing reconnaissance, one of the things that they're going to do is that they're going to leverage LDAP. So that would be 389, 636. In addition to that, there's going to be Kerberos used to be able to get tokens. So that would be port 88, RDP, WinRM, and those are kind of like the top ones that come to mind. Now for command and control channels, typically one of the things that they're going to do is they're going to use port 80 and 443 because that's going to be the one that is going to be most available to them in that environment. Given this, typically what I recommend is to create a rule or configuration, as you see there on your screen, where I'm capturing all of these events. And once I capture all of these events, typically what I recommend is running this on multiple OUs and then building a baseline per each one of those OUs. So let's open here a PowerShell window as administrator. And I'm going to be using PS Gumshoe to kind of get this baseline initially. The command line that we use for this is get Sysmon NetworkConnect event. And what I'm going to do is, since I'm already only capturing those events that are for those specific ports, and remember, you need to profile this for developers, HR, and the different teams because they're going to have different applications. I'm going to select the image. I'm going to select the destination port. I'm going to select the user. I want to see what process is making the connection to what port and under the context of what user. And I'm going to then ask for unique. I only want the unique ones. And I'm going to sort this by image, by process. It's going to take a while. This has been running on this system now for a couple of days as I use DVM for multiple tasks in my lab environment to be able to generate proper kind of realistic traffic. So one of the things that we're going to see is Edge actually connect in port 8443. That's normal. It's always going to be under the context of a user. We're seeing here Microsoft Edge update. That one runs as system port 443. So if we ever see it running as a user, we should get alarms. We have the Microsoft Windows apps. This one, some environments actually remove those, other ones leave those. This one actually provide a bit of a challenge because you're always going to be getting the version number in addition to a random string here. So you need to be a bit more creative with your rules to be able to filter those out. We have OneDrive that always runs as a user in the system. Visual Studio Code. We have background task host, also connecting on those. We have DS recommend, which checks if you're connected to Azure or not, or operate in a hybrid environment in the latest Windows 10 version. We have LSAS. LSAS should be the only one actually doing Kerberos work on your system. And we have the old and mighty SVC host that a lot of people like to impersonate. And as we can see, SVC host takes actions not only running as network service and system, but also as a user. Typically, these actions are for users who are on port 80 and 443. And then the rest of the actions are performed as a network service or system. It will also depend under what context we have those service accounts running. This is important when you're checking on servers. So now that I have this, what I typically do is that I build as tight of a rule set as I can to be able to limit the operations of an attacker. They may go in, they may see the rule set, they know that if we're monitoring for any actions to disable Sysmon, that they're going to get caught trying to do that. So they're going to have to operate around this rule set. I want to make their lives as difficult as possible. And at the same time, I want that flexibility of being able to capture what is actually talking to where. So what I would do then is I would create a rule set like the one that you see here, where OneDrive, I'm looking for port 8443, SVC host, the typical ports that SVC host was running there in my environment, port 135, 80, 443, 389, LDAP. We see that it typically runs as NT Authority Network Service and NT System. So I'm looking for those and then excluding them. The other one is, hey, I only want to exclude 80 and 443 if it runs as a user. Any other port, do highlight it. Do include that for me. So typically what I'm doing is I'm just excluding the ones that you see here. And I create this exclude. And then typically what I would do is I would create an include for the rest of the events. Remember, includes runs first, then exclude runs later, and filter out all of that traffic. So again, just to reiterate, my recommendation is capture for those known ports, exclude your known traffic, and you should be able to capture attackers actually trying to move laterally in your network using WMIC, PSXAC, or doing SOX proxy with Impacket, or leveraging Rubius via Cobalt Strike, or they're leveraging PowerView via PowerShell. You're going to be able to capture all of those outliers there, and you're just filtering out the noise. So you're getting a very nice set of events that are going to be for stuff that more than likely is going to be malicious in your environment. So again, I hope that you have found this information useful. I really hope that you guys subscribe and like the video. And again, if you guys have ideas or anything like that, you can leave them out in the comments, or you can email me at carlos.perez@trustedsec.com. And I'll make sure to include that in future videos. Thank you.